Howdy guys, welcome back to another video of Mutiny Pirate Survival. How are we doing? Hope you guys are well. So today what I want to do is, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. So what I want to do is, and actually this was sort of a comment from one of the socials that sort of gave me this idea. And I know I've done something recently like this, oh, well I wouldn't say recently, I know I've done something like this in the past, but this was when the game was first brought out, and I think, you know what, it's a high time to go over it. So today it's probably not going to be as uniform as I probably would want it to be, but this was probably going to be the more I guess I wouldn't say game changer, but I would say it's probably going to help you guys the most, especially when you're trying to progress, you know, within this game. So what I mean by that, right, so let's say for example you guys have only just started off. You have your, you know, your standard zones, your greens, and your yellows, right? They're your native zones that you're gonna have when you first play the game. Then once you get to the shallow waters, once you unlock the boat, all that sort of stuff, then that's where the north opens up. And then you've got a lot of yellows, oranges, and they get a little bit harder. You've got the damned island as well. And then later on, once you have the ability to complete the lighthouse, you've got the southern zones. Okay? So why am I explaining this today? And I'm sure you guys know this already, right? What I'm trying to sort of articulate here is, what do you guys need to do to be able to survive here? And I say this more because this is an important zone. It's important section for resources, for, you know, progression, everything else in between, especially when you want to get into bronze weapons and you've only just got yourselves copper, you know. So that's why I didn't really want to focus too much here as well, because I feel like this is more of your base, you're starting out, all that sort of stuff. So by the time you come up here, you should be able to more or less effectively conquer pretty much, I say, 80% of these zones without any issues. So let's get to it. I need some tin anyway as it is, so we're going to head over to the pewter island. What I've actually brought with myself here might not be the best, but this is what I feel, excluding the backpack of course, because I think by then you guys should have the 10 backpack slot, not the 15 but the 10, I'd imagine by that point. Because if we go by the loom itself, if I can't actually interact it because we're outside of our base, so you can't really get into it there, but I believe it is the 10 space backpack you should have on you by the time you get to the northern islands, I believe. I could be wrong, quote me if I'm wrong guys, but going back to it, I've got pretty much everything gathered in terms of resources, excluding these because these are irrelevant at this point. The reason why I say that is because that you can manufacture any axe, pickaxe, it's still going to do the same job. The only difference is that you're probably going to need more if you're as you'd only have access to copper at this point to you know, stay in the north and grind and grind and grind. So you probably need a little bit more because of the durability factor. So this won't obscure the demonstration for today's video. This is more just around how can you survive in the said zone. So what I've done is I've brought along copper only weapons, so wheel lock pistols. Okay, these are pretty standard. They typically come roughly about the 160 to the 190, just to sort of give you guys a bit of an idea. And then we've got mild herbal infusion. I've taken those. These are tier 2. These are uncommon, but this should sustain you when you're in your when you're in these environments. And then I've brought along just the sailors outfits, which are basically easily to come by because you'll have access to I believe it's jute and the second tier of hide, which makes up the second tier of armor, which is quite probably more utilized for a larger portion of the game until you sort of start building up your stockpiles and your reserves, and you want to get into, the sturdier versions of this, and then later on you move on to, tier 3 clothing, which is I think it's the Botswan weapons, sorry, armor. So anyway, so right now there's a few things that I would probably personally do as you're sort of going along within your adventures here. So the biggest thing for me is when you guys are leveling up early in game, probably the best thing to make your lives a little bit easier as you go along these zones here is increase your spirit. Spirit is going to give you more freedom, flexibility, without having to worry about taking on animals as well as pirates when you're in a zone, period. That's how it's going to be. A lot of people sort of tend to start, stacking up power and making sure that power is, the best attribute, which is fine, because that also helps as well in certain situations, not all situations. But if you really want to stay on the more leaner side of, you utilizing your resources, and that's in any shape form. That we're talking weapons, we're talking tools, we're talking armor, we're talking heals, right? That is where I believe that the spirit, as you can see, I've just aggravated someone here, and using copper weapons, it took me 4 goes to take him down, and then this is the tier 3 expectancy that you can get. Now, I'm not going to get a lot of these tier 3 stuff because I'm really only interested in certain things, and then you're going to get certain NPCs coming after you as well, and if you're lucky, you can take one out like that. And if you're lucky, you might get some tier 3 stuff. So I might just take those with me. That I'll probably leave, and I think I'll probably leave. I think I'm pretty comfortable with everything that you see there. So I've actually got a lot of the leather of that hide variant, so I'm not going to worry about that. So anyway, so going back to it, I've literally just brought along with me, whoop, I aggravated him too, basically tier 2 stuff, and as I'm not as careful as I'd like to be, I'm getting attacked from both ends, but we're coming out of it just fine. Just fine. So let me just keep crawling, and I'm just going to perch myself around here, and we're just going to take out all these 3 nodes here. But yeah, like I said, this is probably the way I would recommend a lot of people doing this. The wheel lock is a good weapon. Durability, yeah, it stinks, because you're not going to get a lot of durability from it. You are going to get nothing. That's why I've brought 3 pistols with me, just in case, which I don't think I'll need just for one run of this zone, but you might need it for multiple runs. And if you do get if you do get caught up, or if you do get random an abundance of NPCs, animals or pirates, then at least that way you're going to be safe. Now, is that all we got? Oh, okay. And then me getting the tier 2 herbal infusions basically just allows me to have a decent amount of heals without having any sort of issues, right? And if I have to run out, I can run out of the zone. It doesn't really matter. I've actually got another set of clothing in my boat as well, and by then obviously you would have a boat, so you're gonna naturally have one on you, an allowance of having more sets, more of your resources, because you're going to be out and about potentially for a longer period, because it's a further away zone in this situation. So you're not going to having to go back and forth, and then that sort of breaks up your time. That sort of makes it a little bit more grinding, and it just becomes a bit of a mess, right? And I guess that's probably the good topic for a lot of people, because a lot of people find that the game gets too grindy. I disagree. I think it's well balanced and proportioned at the moment. It did take a while for the developers to sort of get to where it is right now. There's a lot of imbalances earlier on in the game's 2+ year now life cycle. So here we go. Okay, so we've got both of these guys at me. So what I will do here is, oh geez, not run into a wall, but to hightail it out of here. Taking on one is easy enough, is one thing, but when you got two at you, you're best to try and find the exit, and that's what I've just done there. So there's nothing wrong or no shame in doing that, but in your best interests, yeah, it's probably the best thing for you to do. But yeah, and the reason why I sort of wanted to make these sort of videos, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of players complain about progression, about how long it takes to do certain things. It's taken too long, or I can't progress, things like that. And I think a lot of the issues just stem from not being as organized. Here we go. So I'm gonna, oh my god, we got a double whammy. There's really no point in me taking on multiple NPCs or enemies as I go along, especially with underpowered weapons. And this is why it's important for you to run in and out, duck out, all that sort of good stuff. So, if I had higher power weapons, yeah, for sure, we would have a definite different conversation about how we would be running a zone, right? Wouldn't have to worry about it. But like I said, so far I've used about 7 heals. I'm nearly half durability on my pistol as it is. But yeah, look, I just got to be careful myself, and I'm not being as careful as I'd like to be. A lot of the times we'll be spending, crouching along, moving along, all that sort of good stuff. So if I can just sort of finesse my way around here, yes I can, but there's no resources here for me to collect, so I'm not going to spend too much time around here. But sometimes you just got to be careful as you move along, and eventually you'll be able to free yourself or not. So you just got to be careful, just got to keep going, and then eventually you can just run away. So yeah, like I said, easily done with this sort of stuff. So before we wrap up with today's video, I will definitely go through what I did exactly to get to where I am to make this video. So I'll do a quick overview. It's not going to take that long. It doesn't actually take long for you to do and prepare yourself. Really, you can actually get yourself a little bit of resources quite quickly in order for you to make these things happen. So yeah, it's going to be the other thing I will do for you guys today. But let's quickly get closer to that purple. So let's just do the old crouch, and I should be able to take that out without any problems. And Mr. Annoyed Gorilla is not going to annoy me. As you can see, I just got 120 tin in one run. Basically me going around the whole island right there. So what we'll do is I'll quickly row myself over here. And alright, so prerequisites, what you're going to need to do. That's going to be important before you even do anything. For you to get off the mark, that's important. So you need the copper island. Typically what I would do is I would travel here. If you want to make a bit of a grinding sesh out of it, make sure that you've got 100 energy before you go. So if you want to do it the night before, do it, travel there, and then by the time you wake up or before, when you jump into the game next, you basically start with 100 energy, and you can go back and forth between the temple and back to the copper island, and that's the way to do it. Now to get the heals, here I did probably 3-4 runs, maybe 5, and I had that amount of herbal infusions, and then you bounce yourself between this and this. Doesn't take you that much, very little energy that's required, and it allows you to get there, quick enough. So hopefully, in that short explanation, that should give you guys the fundamental tools and the basis to allow you to bridge the gap, I would say, between these two zones, your starting zone and the north zone. Before we move on, let's go ahead and drop all of this in here. There we go. As you can see, I've already got another set of clothing which I might just take with me. Once it all deteriorates, I can switch over and we can continue on. Oop, here we go. Sometimes what I feel is you do need to take on these enemies or these animals for the sake of getting your resources. And the reason why I bring this up now is once you sort of get comfortable in crouching and maneuvering around, you'll get to know what you can and can't do, or where you push your luck and you don't push your luck. So yeah, again, very important. So an example would be here. If I want to push my luck and I feel like I'm going to get attacked, I can see more than one node here. It's going to give me quite a bit of resources here, and then I know I'm going to get attacked by this fella here. So what I would normally do is I would normally attack this fella to get him out of the way. Now I'm only using guns. You can have other things with you, so if you want to use things like sledgehammers and then you switch between your weapons here, then you're more than welcome to do that. That's probably a recommendation that you could probably try out and see how you go with it. It's not textbook, it's not going to be guaranteed, but it might give you a bit of an edge. Or like how I'm doing it here, you roll with this. Look, excuse the reliable bag, but I'm not actually using the additional pocket slot. So, like I said, I'm just being as raw as I can possibly be, and at least this way it gives you a more representative, here we go, a more of an insight as to how you sort of would conduct yourself, in this zone. Now we've got two enemies coming at me now, so like I said, the best thing you're going to be able to do is bail, leave the zone, and then retool. When I say retool, I mean get yourself healed up, get your clothing on, away you go. Let's get rid of that because we're not going to need that anymore. And then if you picked up some prickly pears, which I normally would recommend that you do, just so you can feed yourself along the way. That way you don't have to worry about encumbrance. Anyway, I can't even spell that word, but you know what I mean. So meaning that you don't take too much, resources with you before you even get on your adventure. So that's the reason why I would recommend that. But anyway, travel light is the biggest thing I would say. Anyway, as I said, so far so good. I've been able to, confidently get through here, and I've gotten a decent whack of resources. I'll be able to clear this out, no problem, again for a second run. And I think that might even just satisfy the need, just to sort of get a little bit more resource, and then I'm good to go. But for a lot of people, you're going to be doing, more grinding, or you're going to be, making sure that you've got enough to sustain yourself so you don't have to come back here. So you're going to eventually, stick it out for a little bit longer than what I'm doing here in this video. But as you can see, in the near 20 minutes of, of this video here, I've amassed, 168 worth of tin, and that's just me getting tin and tin alone. Yeah, I'm picking up a couple of things here and there, but hopefully, this has been a little bit helpful, maybe a little bit more insightful. I feel like when I see, certain comments around, progression and not knowing what to do, or just not being able to, get to certain places, or, survive in certain zones, I feel like it just comes down to, organization. And I feel like that's a big thing in this game. you got to be organized. You need to have a strategy. You need to have yourself, thought out before you attempt the zone, because it's not going to be good if you just go into a zone and you're not prepared. You haven't got the right weaponry, you haven't got the right tools, things like that. Like I said, a little bit different in this situation, because I am using better graded weapons than what you would have if you just stepped yourself over into the north for the first time. You'd be on copper tools and copper tools only, so you would need more of the same tool, right? So that's just broken. So I've already picked up this bronze pickaxe as we went along. So as you can see, the copper axe only has about 180, and the pickaxe for the copper pickaxe should have roughly about the same, if not the same amount of durability. So using an iron pickaxe that had about what was about 1600, so obviously that's going to allow me to stay in the zone a lot longer, or the areas a lot longer, without having to travel back, things like that. But to get the same magnitude of that, you're going to need I would say at least maybe about 11 to 12 pickaxes, if that's what you're just going to be focusing on in here, to stay for the same amount of time. So yeah, but anyway, that's just quick maths. It's not concise by any means of the stretch of the imagination, but I'm just spitballing here. I'm just giving you some I guess some basic information around that, but it's not, like I said, concrete or anything of that nature. It's just more around making sure that you guys are going to... Ooh, I better be careful here. So what I will do here is I'll just quickly heal a couple times over, and he might actually take me out if I'm not careful enough. So you can try and stand your ground, right? Like I just did. Heal back up, and I was able to kill off this fella. Ooh, geez. There you go. And then you get little surprises like that. So that's probably been the most intense of running so far, and you might get yourself some reasonable armor and things like that as you go along as well. So like I said, guys, these sort of situations, they will arise. You will get overwhelmed, so you just got to be careful in how you conduct yourself. And like I said, it's all about being prepared, making sure that you've got yourself a plan in place, what you want to do, and it's important not to overindulge. Okay, if you're about to die, you're about to die. You're going to die. And if you try and get too greedy, you're going to get found. You're going to get caught out. You're going to die. It happens. It happens to me. It happens to me all the time. So yeah, like I said, just do what you guys can do, that you feel comfortable in, and you'll be fine. Like I said, I've nearly cleared out the zone for a second time, and I should have nearly 240 maybe plus. Yeah, there you go, 240 plus. And I know there's a few more nodes up here. So like I said, if I just be careful, I can pick off these 3 nodes. These give me what, 6 per? So I'll get a decent amount here, and that's basically going to be it for us, guys. I think we've done well here. I'm going to go back to base, offload this. I might have to get some copper because I want to get some more bronze happening. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to go ahead and do it here, guys. Look, I know it was just a little bit of a different video. Let me know what you thought about the context around the video. Has it helped? Let me know. If you want me to do any more videos around this, for example, going from north to south, I mean, it's fairly representative. It's going to be the same sort of idea, but you're going to need bronze in order for you to do that, in order to come down here. You could always try your luck. I could always try my luck, use exactly what I used here in this video, and see how long I can survive down in these zones here. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Maybe should I do that? Let me know. I think that might be a good idea. We could always look at that. But yeah, look, I figured it was a good time as any to do this type of video, and yeah, hopefully you guys get something out of it, and hopefully this will help you guys survive the North. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this one, if you found it informative, of course. Comment down below. Share if you can, that'd be really helpful. And if you guys are new to the channel or not, and you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any future videos. Alrighty guys, take it easy, and I will catch you guys in the next one.